Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Vicar on this Tuesday afternoon. Apologies for not making it last week, and also they're a bit late starting this week, so huge apologies for that. We've got some great questions that have come in that we're going to get right into in a few minutes' time. If say always with Ask the Vicar, just let us know where you are watching from. And pop any questions that you've got either in the comments section, or you can email them through if there are kind of bigger subjects kind of for a future week. But I hope you're having a really good week so far, that you're enjoying your Tuesday afternoon. At the minute, still great to have some sunny weather, digesting some more comments from Boris. Not a huge amount seems to have changed at this point, but I think just absolutely crucial thing is that we just keep praying at the moment, keep loving one another, keep supporting one another, and we will get through this. So, two starter questions to kick us off with today come in over email. First up, we have what do you think Jesus is trying to teach us all through this? And what is he especially saying to us about lonely people? Which is an absolutely fantastic question. What is Jesus trying to say to us through all of this? I think, first of all, for us specifically, if you're listening to this or watching this in the Western world, first of all, is put your trust in the right things. I think we live and have lived, probably, if we can call ourselves a post-war generation. So all of us have lived sort of 46 up to now. I think, and this is just my own personal take on it, that we're probably one of the most privileged generations possibly has ever been, and possibly one of the most entitled generations that there's ever been as well. And because of that, because we've not really, we haven't faced obviously a major war in our nation, because we've not really had to face any kind of, until now, massive epidemic. There's obviously been dips, ups and downs in the economy, but on a national scale, life's been good. And so, in one sense, as a result of that, we have put our faith in things that we thought we could trust. So jobs, people, etc., etc. Whereas all of these things are passing. You know, it never ceases to amaze me. I think every funeral service that I take, you realise that how fragile life is, and actually how short life is. And the things we put our trust in, even now, we find they let us down. And God is the one person, and Jesus is the one person that we can trust. He famously described himself, Jesus, in these words. He said he was the way, he was the truth, and he was the life. And again, he's called his followers to follow him and to trust him. And because he knew that he was the one that we could trust. And it's so hard. I mean, just the conversations I've had, probably the same with everybody in the last few days. But who can you trust at the minute? What can you trust? You read the, you watch the news, you look at read a newspaper, you look on the internet, and you're not sure who or what you can trust. It's so easy to post fake news. You and I could just go on Wikipedia right now and just make something up, and it would appear to be the truth. And so we can trust completely in Jesus and know that he is with us and he will guide us through this time. The second part of that brilliant question was this, which was simply, what is he saying to us about lonely people? Really simply, that we got to be out there with one another. I think got to be out there. Obviously, physically, we can't really do that at the moment, but calling people, checking that people are okay, spending time listening and sitting with the lonely. I've not been in a situation hugely in my life up to this point where I've been particularly lonely, but those moments where I have faced it or felt it have been those times to think, oh, loneliness is a horrible feeling. And to think you could sit for day after day after day in your house and no one comes to see you or talk to you. or be with you, that feeling is a really horrendous one. And so actually to go and visit the lonely, and Jesus said, when you go and visit a lonely person, you're actually going and visiting him, because in some way all of humanity will reflect Jesus in who we are and our character. So actually to go and spend time with someone who's lonely is huge. And we just know the amount of lonely people that there are. And if almost we, as if each and every one of us adopted one person, it's either ring regularly or visit when we could, safely, and hopefully when COVID is over. Just doing that would make such a huge difference to our world around us and to our society. So yeah, kind of to cut a long story short, now I think he's calling us to trust him and not trust stuff, and just kind of the world around us. And secondly, yeah, I think he's calling us to adopt someone and to make sure that we are visiting and there for the lonely and the hurting and the broken. Especially because when we do that, we visit Jesus. Second question was, what sort of things should we be looking at? Are there particular Bible passages right now that we should be looking at? For me, hugely at the minute, as a church, we're going through the book of John, which I think is a good one just because it talks about how this invisible God makes himself visible in the person of Jesus, and how God just steps into our hurting and a broken world and draws alongside us, and we need to know his presence with us hugely at the minute. But the second thing I would say is about reading the story of the Israelites in the Old Testament, especially when they go into time of persecution. So the books of Kings and Chronicles, which talk about that, which talk about how God's amazing people, the nation of Israel, how they're nation, because they turned away from God, the nation was torn into two, Israel and Judah. How how God's people were taken from the promised land and were scattered all over the world, and life felt incredibly alien to them. And just in doing that, you see how in a time where they were away from their homeland, life was really different for them, yet God was still with them in that really different and difficult environment. So yeah, so I'd have a look at John that we're going through, and also look at Kings and Chronicles, and see how we can be, our life can be turned upside down, be really unfamiliar, yet God is with us all of the time. Okay, got a last couple of minutes just to pop anything else, any questions into the comments section. Do email them in for future weeks as well. It's been really great to be together again. We'll be back same time next week with Answer Vicar at 2 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. So till then, do get your questions in by email, and we will see you all again really soon. Take care and God bless.